From the past 2 years of AI, this has definitely been the most overhyped moment. But why? A month before DeepSeek R1 model crashed my investments, Google released Flash Thinking, a reasoning model that is cheaper and considering by AI research better than DeepSeek. And no one talk about it. No headlines, no crashing my stocks. But look it up. Cheaper and better. DeepSeek R1 wiped out $600 billion of NVIDIA market cap, crashed Trump's inauguration party, and for that, thank you, and become the most downloaded app on iPhone. The narrative that caused panic is that DeepSeek is so efficient that we don't need more investments in AI. Meta, Microsoft, Google, OpenAI have overinvested. Now they have overcapacity. And as the story goes, we don't need more from NVIDIA, Micron, ASML, Broadcom, Dell. The industry is over. So what's going on? I'll briefly talk about who's behind DeepSeek and how it came to existence. Then I'll debunk the lies, one by one. And finish by acknowledging two amazing tech innovations they made. DeepSeek was born out of a hedge fund in China called Highflyer, which was founded in 2015 by Liang Wenfeng. And he's one of the few people in China who could innovate. Not only he has an entrepreneurial mindset, he has money, he owns a hedge fund, but more importantly, he has GPUs from NVIDIA, the foundational infrastructure for artificial intelligence. And that Chinese companies cannot easily get. In October 2022, the Biden administration introduced export controls on advanced US chips to China. Attention! This was before ChatGPT moment. For the US, maintaining a technological edge over China, especially in AI, has long been a national security priority. A year later, the US demanded even further performance reductions. So essentially, Chinese companies don't have access to the latest and greatest GPUs, what keep their AI capabilities several generations behind. But Liang Wenfeng had GPUs from before the export controls. And then came January 20. DeepSeek R1 was released. R1 is a reasoning model, a model that's far better at logic, math, decision-making, physics than regular chatbots. OpenAI only built its first reasoning model in September 24. So how the heck did a Chinese company build one that is this fast, this cheap, and under so many GPU restrictions, and still make it on par with OpenAI's first reasoning model?
DeepSeek.
American AI is that. It's time to take your Xanax and enjoy while I debunk all the lies. Lie number one. DeepSeek costs $6 million to train. On their DeepSeek V3 paper, they claim that their total training costs amount to only $5.576 million, and that it was trained on a cluster with 2,048 NVIDIA GPUs. Shameless. To give you an idea, OpenAI's Anthropic's model costs around $100 million to train, and thousands of GPUs are needed, not 2,000 GPUs. Each GPU, by the way, costs around $30,000. So think about each GPU is the price of a car. So what's accounted for in the $6 million figure? Well, from the moment they knew what to do until the moment they stopped all the computation, it cost $6 million. But that's not how standard training costs are calculated, China. The true number should include all the GPUs you bought, not just the ones used for final training, but also the ones allocated for experiments or testing new ideas and developing new architectures, which we're going to talk about it. Also, what about the data? The cost of gathering data, the cost of cleaning it, and your employees, which in their case is not cheap Chinese labor. They actually pay their employees extremely competitive salaries, offering almost $1.3 million for the right candidates. They are hiring, by the way, like CFO positions, etc. They eliminated all of that from the calculation. This is like saying you build a skyscraper for $6 million because you're only counting the cost of steel beams and the concrete foundation, while ignoring the price of the land, the years of architectural planning, the salaries of the engineers and construction workers, the cost of the cranes. So in reality, the full cost runs in hundreds of millions. Just like training AI model isn't just about the final computation bill. SemiAnalysis, it's a top semiconductor research team, and in my opinion, they did the best deep dive on the true cost of training DeepSeek V3. And here it is. We are confident their hardware spend is well higher than $500 million over the company history. Multi-head latent attention, a key innovation of DeepSeek, took several months to develop and cost a whole team of man-hours and GPU hours. They found out that in 2021, Highflyer made an investment in 10,000 GPUs before any export restrictions, and they estimate that now they have about 50,000 GPUs. So, Liang Wenfeng, you can lie to the media. You can lie to Jensen Huang. You can lie to the US government, but you can't lie to Latina women. We'll fact-check you and make a whole scene or a video about it. Cabrón. Lie number 2. DeepSeek models are on par with American models. Wishful thinking. In their paper, DeepSeek had this chart showing how it outperforms Meta Llama, OpenAI's GPT, and Anthropic's Claude. Not so fast, Dragon. Yes, you are the impressive model. But impressive relative to what? Llama 3.1 was released in July 2024. Claude 3.5 was released in June 2024. And I saw what you did. Use a no-chart trick here of benchmark it the furthest from you, since you don't really outperform it at half of the time. And GPT-4, it was released in May 2024. May 2024 for AI is a whole another lifetime ago. So DeepSeek produced a model close to the performance of a US model 7-10 months older, which now makes sense that they would do it cheaper. Costs in AI tend to become lower over time thanks to better models, better hardware, and software. And all companies are benefiting from this. As Dario Morey, co-founder and CEO of Anthropic, stated, if the historical trend of the cost curve decrease is about 4 times per year, we would expect a model 3 to 4 times cheaper than 3.5 Sonnet and GPT-4o around now. Now the worst part. None of DeepSeek's scores were independently verified. Like how we do things here in America, where real third-party evaluations matter, DeepSeek's numbers come straight from their own playbook. No external checks, just a word for it. Sounds super legit, right? China. Lie number 3, DeepSeek is open source.
Gonna take the ecosystem.
Liang Wenfeng is not alone in this lie. Mark Zuckerberg is an open-washing expert too, which has truly upset the open source initiative. DeepSeek models like Meta's are open weights. Yes, you can download the model to your computer and use it without an internet connection, but that doesn't make it open source. Truly open source AI means developers have full access to the training data and the training code. Without this information, you can reverse engineer how the model works or verify its safety. I have 2 episodes getting the details of open source AI if you're interested. But the heart of the matter here is, in an open weights model, only the engineers who built the model know what's inside. No one else can audit the code to check for backdoors. These are hidden mechanisms in the code that could make the model leak sensitive information or send user interactions to a third party without anyone knowing. 2. Verify surveillance mechanisms like quietly monitoring users. And 3. Detect hard-coded AI bias that's backed into the system. By the way, I also have a full episode on AI bias if you're interested. So, OpenWhai is not open source. And I'm not even going to get into the DeepSeek censorship because you've probably already seen that online. Where it gets really scary is this. In China, if the government wants access to the company's data, company's AI's models, the companies have to hand it over. No questions, no warrants needed. On top of that, companies are required to store the data inside the country and let authorities inspect their network. That means the government can monitor or even influence AI models like DeepSeek whenever they want, using them for propaganda, disinformation, and surveillance. American isn't looking so bad right now, huh? So yeah, not being open source in China matters a lot. Here in the US and in most democracies, companies aren't legally obligated to hand over user data to the government without due process. For example, Apple has repeatedly resisted government demands to unlock iPhones, defending user privacy. As a reminder, I'm talking about the OpenWhai models developers. Remember, Mom, the developers download to their computers. But if you're accessing DeepSeek online or for the app, I hope you know that your data for a fact it's being shared. DeepSeek does not offer a comprehensive opt-out option for your data collection and store their data in China. As its private policy explicitly states, we store the information we collect in secure servers located in the People's Republic of China. Good luck with that. While one can say OpenAI collects data too, sure, but one can opt out. And two, I would rather be under US law, even under current circumstances.
Don't be rude.
Now that I got all these lies off my chest, I'm ready to give credit where credit is due. 2 amazing technical contributions should be enough to earn Mr. Liang Feng, many a client, but very smart, a recognitions in the AI community, multi-head latent attention, and mixture of experts. And Mom, I know you're watching, so I'll keep it simple. She loves watching my videos and then asking 50 questions later. First, they invented the multi-head latent attention. This is a phenomenal architecture which uses a lot of mathematical equation that helps the model pay attention to only important part of a sentence. Normally, when AI tries to understand language, it has to keep track of a lot of details of every single word. So the meaning of the words, the positioning the words, it's like remembering every single word of a story. This uses up a lot of memory, which can be a problem, especially for devices with limited resources. MLA simplify things. It helps the models to focus only on the key parts of the text that really matter for understanding and responding. Just like in a conversation, you'd pay attention to the main story rather than all the details around the stories. It's a game changer because it helps AI be more like us. Focus on what's important and ignoring the rest. This can save up to 80 to 90% in memory. Second, mixture of experts. They haven't invented this, but they refined it in a way that no other company has. Large language models know everything about everything, but not in an organized way. Whenever you ask a question about travel, the entire model will run. This is like switching on every appliance in your house just to make a cup of coffee. It's not efficient. In the mixture of experts, you have experts, mini models that are specialized. Let's say one that knows everything about psychology, another one that knows everything about economics. So when you ask a question, this question will go through a screening process and be routed to the experts that will answer it. And the benefit is that you get effectively the same performance model with like 30% less compute. And because of that, I, Luana Helsiger, Latino woman, expect most companies in the foundation model space to move to this mixture of experts implementation. Historically, the reason why not everyone might do it, it's because the implementation, it's very complex. The question is how to know to which expert to send a user task. While the architecture is not new, no one was able to create so many experts like DeepSeek. They have 256 experts compared to 8 to 16 experts from the rest of the industry. Now, think about it. How to know to route to the correct experts out of the 256. Quite quite an accomplishment. And these folks are the innovations that allow DeepSeek to reach its training efficiency and low cost of inference, aka being cheaper. So, a round of applause. My favorite conspiracy theory is that since they're hedge funds, this was all part of the plan. They shorted NVIDIA's stock and made it billions. But if that wasn't the play, then honestly, they should just shut down their hedge funds and focus on AI. Jokes aside, I hope you see now why the market went into a full-blown frenzy, completely contaminated by the sweet baby-faced maniac liar and his fairy tale. The whole narrative that DeepSeek is so good, it's so cheap, and it changes the future of AI, slashes costs, make GPUs irrelevant, and video is over. It's just that a lie. Also, DeepSeek models are not trustworthy. But why?